Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cosmere Connections. We're a bunch of book-loving nerds rereading Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere series. From book 1 to book 16 million, we'll be uncovering every secret connection there is to find. Today, we are joined by Swiggity Swoo.
Podcasting is a messy business, but that's what makes it so much fun.
We've got John.
I am human.
Kay's here too.
Hemalurgy.
And I'm ReaderWarrior.
Well put.
And today, we're going to be covering The Well of Ascension's Prologue.
I was gonna say hemalurgy is very messy, but then Swiggity went.
I stole like 25% of your
Of the entire
Your
thing we'll be
power.
covering.
You literally took it all except for one word.
Oh, so maybe you stole 25% of mine. It was too
This is
good. It
why
was
we
too
need-
good to pass out, right?
Right?
This is why we needed just to do the prologue to get all this out of our systems as we get back into doing this.
Yeah, right.
As my loving girlfriend would say, you're a silly banana.
They have bananas on schedule.
Maybe. Maybe in Southern
Scadrial,
Scandal.
Hawaii.
Southern schedule.
Scadrian, Hawaii.
That would. There's lots of those.
That's the same exact thing.
We can't rule it out. We can't rule it out.
John, would you like to go over the chapter real quick?
Sure. This is a quick one.
Real
It's-
emphasis on real quick, huh?
Yeah, it's like 2 pages or like 6 or 7 minutes as the audiobook goes. So, Marsh spent 3 years as an Inquisitor now, and he is trying to kill himself. Except, something keeps stopping him. He sees everything in blue lines pointing out metals. He and his fellow Inquisitors are building a new Inquisitor by driving a spike through a talisman into an Inquisitor acolyte. Marsh fights to take his body back over, and yet still he is unable to kill himself by removing his linchpin spike. The thing that takes over his body again, and we get a name for it. Ruin. And it has given Marsh a quest. Find something that has been hidden away.
Gasp.
And
Oh, I
it
like
is
that.
the thing. It is the thing that Vin released from the Well of Ascension.
Yes, that is
I love
Ruin.
That's ruin.
I love that you said
Yeah.
building an Inquisitor. Not making somebody into one, but building an Inquisitor.
Well, it's
they?
spike by spike. Yes, they are.
I thought it was just that they were just adding new spikes into a previous Inquisitor. I didn't think they were making a new one.
They don't specify one way or the other, but at the end of the last book, it's known that there are only about a dozen
It's
or
good to
so.
be back.
I
So-
think they're making a new one.
I assumed they were making a new one. They could just be adding another power to an existing.
That's what
Hmm.
I was guessing.
But
they were
Either
doing,
way,
but-
an Inquisitor is never really complete. You can always add another spike.
Okay, so the three main things we got to talk about are like Marsh not being in control of his body and being this Inquisitor for 3 years. And I think we said the jump from to Well of Ascension was about a year and a half. So it's been another year and a half now.
It's from my understanding, the jumps between books are each a year, and Well of Ascension took a year. Like the timeline for Well of Ascension was 1 year. Was about a year. So
Okay. Or that. I can accept that. Except I felt like the siege was like a fairly short thing. Because they only dealt with it
No.
over the winter. Or they didn't want
But
to
it-
go into a winter one.
it
No, there was
lasted a
definitely snow
couple
on the ground
months.
because Tindwyl was frozen to the ground.
Yeah, but I felt like winter was settling in, and that was sort of one of the things, is they didn't want to have the giant
Sure.
winter war.
Winter can last for months.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, like... Okay, we don't exactly know. I'll give you that. You're allowed your headcanon. I will believe mine. We be peace.
All I do know Well of Ascension must have started around, like, I guess what would be April or May in Earth calendar, because Sazib was trying to get those people to, like, plant, and that would be, like, around that time, I think, right?
Maybe?
Spring, early
Yes.
spring.
Okay, I guess... I'll disagree, but I'll remain quiet.
Either way, he's been an
The
Inquisitor
second
for 3
thing-
years, right?
Yes.
Like,
And
we have that in writing.
Yes. From the events of the end of the Final Empire to now, it's been 3 years. We now know that the thing that been released from the Well of Ascension, this entity called Ruin, which is definition of something or the state of dis. So it's this being is literally naming itself after pure entropy, and it's not allowing. I almost said Moash again. I'm getting used to it. It's not allowing Marsh to even control his own body or to know what he's thinking, because we see like all the horrible stuff is really awesome when he's in control, or when Ruin's in control. And it sort of reminds me of the old what is it, TF2, with with the pyro animation.
Yes.
Where he's just running around, it's all flowers and candy and everything, and then you cut to
And
what's
then
actually going
fire.
on. It's really horrible. I'm probably making a reference only we are getting, per usual.
It's possible. Yeah.
But you've got that, and then you also have this whole thing with whatever hemalurgy is and the creation of a brand new Inquisitor.
Does it
And
actually use the word hemalurgy?
it does. It
Okay.
says it.
I couldn't remember because I didn't specifically note it down.
Yep, he says hemalurgy was a messy art, and that was why it was so much fun. Marsh picked up the mallet and began to pound. That was about
I've been working on Inquisitors all the livelong day.
We now see what happened to the
Terracemen.
Mm-hmm.
Never
And we
quite
actually
made it to-
see sort of what the saran was used for.
It was used for keeping your foods fresh.
In which now we see what that was used for. So there's often a debate with the fans if whether this is back there, or is this like they brought or created a bed back up in wherever the terrace, whatever the name of it was, on top of the mountain. Tathingdwin.
Ooh, good memory.
Wow.
As soon as you said it, I was like, oh yeah, that's it.
This is why we need Kay. She's the smartest one here.
Yeah, 12 points
I
to
think she's the
Gryffindor.
smartest out of everybody.
Sometimes-
She's a Ravenclaw.
I'm actually not.
Well, you're our Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
You're our Ravenclaw.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I should have known. I'm so foolish.
Everyone thinks that I'm a Ravenclaw, and then I'm like, no, actually.
I could understand why until you stop and think about it, and then you're like, no, this
No.
makes sense. Okay.
Stay tuned for when we finish the Cosmere. We're going to move on to Harry Potter.
9.
I'm a Gryffindor. Just like everybody else who actually like tries
Except
hard.
the Cosmere is going to take us so long that it'll be our ghosts doing it, which is very Harry Potter, if you think about it.
True.
My haunted Discord server.
And it won't be a
Happy
podcast,
Death
it'll just be
Day
a picture
to
frame.
you, and it's just me
Yeah, right.
holding the newest Brandon Sanderson book.
So that's why, like, is that why the terracemen were kind of hiding and, like, sneaking around on the road when they ran into Vin and Elend in Well of Ascension? Because
Well,
this is what would
no.
happen to them?
They were worried about
Inquisitors.
bandits, but the Inquisitors found them, and yeah.
And captured a lot of them, and now we see kind of what they were doing with them.
Oh, so that band never quite made it to Luthadel.
They did.
The ones that Ellen found, they made it to Luthadel, but all the ones that were like left behind at Tathingdwyn, great job, Kay, were all captured and probably used.
What's
Tathingdwyn
Tathingdwyn?
is the capital of the Terrace people. It's where the Synod is located. And it was where
Okay.
located. It was where Ellen and Ben were planning to go to get help to find the Well of Ascension up in the Terrace Mountains.
But they never made it there because she realized it was back in the city.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense. So, wow, all of the people that were left in the Terrace Mountains basically got captured by Inquisitors?
I would say a good portion of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's messed up.
Mm-hmm. And then got tied to a chair, tied to a bed on top of another guy, and a spike pierced straight through him.
And for spoiler reasons, kind of, we're really not going to go into what is exactly happening there.
Yes, right? Not until chapter 13, I believe, is like the main talk about it, and we're going to probably save our discussion of hemalurgy until then.
Okay.
Which is the end of part 1. So that's a good talking point then.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to clarify those things for me.
No problem. Totally understand. Anything else? This is going to be really short, so...
I just think that it's really sad that, like, essentially since Marsh has become an Inquisitor, he has not had control over his body. And this is confirmation that, like, what we saw, his actions at the end of the last book and throughout when we saw him in the last book, they were not his own action.
Mm.
He was not the one actually who led Sazed to the conventicle of Saren. That was not him in control at the time. It was not him in control when he attacked Sazed in Creedic Shaw. Like, we know, like, because as he said, like, he's been under control the entire time.
But we can also see that with Ruin's release, a lot has changed, because we saw, granted, we can go back to the Final Empire and say, like, there's not a lot of control happening there, but, like, in the Well of Ascension, Marsh was very silent, and, like, even when he was gonna attack Sazed, he's like, I'm sorry, you shouldn't have come here, and then he attacks him. So we can see that he still had some semblance of control back then. Like, he was able to move his mouth, he was able to express sorrow and guilt. And he had said, like, I've spent these last few months killing and murdering and all this. And, like, I think now you can look at that, it's like, please run away. I am now unable to stop myself. I have become a horrible killing machine. But now with Ruin free, he's like, everything is amazing. This is all perfect. This is the way it should be. The blood smells like roses, and the pounding of a spike into a man's chest is like eating cotton candy.
Only when Ruin is directly controlling him.
Mm-hmm. And even when he isn't, he still can't control himself enough to rip out that linchpin spike.
I would say, kind of pay attention to that, like, the idea of being influenced like that kind of carries forward in a lot of different ways in the Cosmere. There's a lot of different examples of people kind of having their will taken over in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been like, for the past 3 years, this has been happening to him. So it's like, I'm thinking the control probably gets tighter and tighter over time, right?
For all intended purposes, Marsh. Give me a minute. This is what he gets for naming two characters. This is what he gets for naming two characters off by one letter. But Marsh really did die all that way back in the Final Empire. and sort of the person we've been seeing since has not been Marsh, really.
Mm-hmm.
And something I did want to note is, book one opens with Ash fell from the sky. Book two opens with the army moved across the horizon like a dark stain. Book three opens up with Marsh tried to kill himself. I just love that little. Yes, John, 2 letters. Thank you very much.
It was more that I had to see it to like, cause I couldn't figure it out in my brain. I had to like write it down.
But I just love that the ash fell from the sky sticks with you. The army crept along like a dark stain. That's immediately visualized in your head. You can see like over a hill this dark mass moving, and then you just got this complete and utter Marsh tried to kill himself. Where it's not visually anything. It's just wow.
Certainly sets the tone for like a really dark book, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, what do you guys think? Does it follow through with that? Is the third one kind of the darkest of the three, you think?
I would say so. Without getting too spoilery, I would say so.
I'm unsure because it's been a while since I've read this particular book. I will say that in this moment, it is probably my least favorite of the three, but that may also change as I read it again. It could happen.
I'm in the same camp.
You've said before, John, that endings are not your favorite. So
It's not the endings that causes issues for me. We'll talk about it again when we get to the end of the book if it's still a thing.
Yeah.
Just for sake of avoiding spoilers.
Gotcha. Okay, before we apparently jump into the spoiler section, because this is going to be a fairly quick episode, is there anything from the previous book or books that we want to bring back into attention? As sort of, these are things that are still yet to be addressed, things we kind of hope are going to show up in this book, things that, without being too spoilery, will get answered.
I would just like to remind everyone that Ellen is now a badass Alamancer. That's going to be important, I'm sure.
Full, pure Mistborn. Yes. I'm very excited.
No longer a weenie, huh?
I mean...
And Vin has also come into her own as well. She's finally, accepted that she can be both a lady and a Mistborn. So, she's a lot more confident in who she is as well.
Mm-hmm. We've lost a good majority of the crew.
Yeah. Be interesting to see how they handle the deaths. Those deaths.
I don't remember what to expect from this book. I read it 2 years ago, maybe, and I just breezed through it. So, like, I don't know what to expect. But obviously, like, the big things I do remember. So I guess what I'm looking forward to, or what I'm most interested in, is kind of like, what is this book really about, like, on its own? Because, like, I remember the big plot points. I want to, like, find out, like, what is the Hero of Ages about? And I think, like, so far, the first thing I've gotten is, like, there's kind of a brothers theme. Like, it says it's dedicated to Brandon Sanderson's brother, and it starts with, I wanted to say Moash. It starts with a Marsh POV.
It's contagious. Quick, cut it off before it festers.
That's like Kelsier's brother. So I don't know. I'm interested to see like how the brothers theme carries through in this one, if that ends up being something.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that definitely sounds interesting, and I can't wait to see more of that. But you've also got Vin still hasn't figured out what's going on with her in the Mist, and she spent all of the last book like, "Hey, Mist, accept me," and it never did. You have them still have not found the ATM cache that they thought would be under Luthadel. It was not, but it's led them to a whole other city. We need to know what's going on there. You've got Spook hating himself, Breeze feeling like he's a coward. Can't really say much for the other crew members. I don't think they really got to a darker place.
Sazed.
Oh, Sazed. Yeah.
Sazed reeling from the death of Tindwyl.
And abandoning his religions, yeah.
Says it's in a bad place.
You've got Tensoon. Oh, Tensoon returning to the Kandra homeland, which he left and didn't really show up at all for the last part of the book.
Which hopefully we'll get to see more of in this book.
Mm-hmm. Can't remember anything.
There's one more medal, at least. I think. I feel like there was kind of like talked about in the last one. I was like, oh, there should be one more that we haven't found.
Oh yeah,
I don't.
The
It's like the alloy of.
alloy to gold.
Yeah, the alloy of gold. They said there should theoretically be one more, but we haven't seen it yet.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully, we will see that.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited. Hero of Ages. Okay, you said you haven't read this one. Well, this is the one that I probably read the most often. Like, I will just skip 1 and 2 and just do this one.
I'm excited now.
Why?
Because it's the end. It's got the whole journey of where these characters are going to be. And
dude,
there are parts
journey
of this
before
book.
destination, sir.
True, but also like it's the point of I know the first one really well because that's what got me into this. The second one, I think until our reread last year or this past year, I don't think I truly accepted it for what it was. And I did kind of fall victim to that. Oh, it's just the girl having a love triangle thing. That really wasn't in it. But this is the one where the epic conclusion happens. This is the... What is the third Lord of the Rings one? The Return of the King? It's the Return of the King. This is when all of it happens. And I don't cry very often in books. I can count on like a hand the number of times I've actually cried in a book. I cry on like 2 separate occasions in this one. It's good. I love this book so much. And I'm very excited to like point out all the details that we can now reference to the first 2 that were built up. And I can't wait. I can't wait. So excited.
Well, you're gonna have to because it's gonna be what, 22 episodes?
Yeah, it's gonna be a while.
Journey
It's a
before, yeah.
Destination. But we're gonna try to do them. We're gonna get there. Hopefully before Rhythm of War. Hopefully before Stormlight 5 comes out.
The Knights of Wind and Truth.
Yes.
What did they have? Is that official?
The title that Sanderson is calling it by right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Would anybody like to say anything excitable? Okay, let's stay off of Stormlight. Stay on Mistborn.
But
We're staying on Mistborn.
okay.
Okay. You can say it real quick in the spoiler section, but we're gonna stay on Mistborn.
We can talk about it later, John.
Do we want to say anything about the prologue or things we really are, or how we feel about this book? Sort of like a brief little showman of how excited you are.
In a very like immature way, I'm just like, I don't remember what fight scenes are in this book. Like, I can't wait to just see like, I can't wait to see what fight scenes are in this book. I don't remember. I'm excited.
I enjoy this book. I am very excited for some of the scenes in this book that are just really fun.
There are a handful of moments that I definitely am looking forward to that are definitely pretty awesome. There's a couple of lines in this book that I am not so looking forward to, but I may be remembering them coming up more often than they actually do. So we'll see.
And I'm very happy that you have that opinion, because that means we will have something specific to talk about and confer about down the line. And maybe other people also agree with.
I'd be very much interested to know what you're referencing. Yeah, definitely come back with that.
Anything else we would like to say in the spoiler-free section? That's been about 20-30 minutes. Boy, this is just like episode 1.
You see what we can do with a mere 2 pages?
Wow. Okay, then. Well, next time we're going to be covering... Let me just pull that up real quick, just so I have the exact wordage down. Next time we're going to be covering Mistborn, The Hero of Ages, Part 1, Legacy of the Survivor, Chapters 1 through 4. But it is now time to head into the spoiler realm. So if you have not finished this book, the entire series, or potentially the entire Cosmere, then we recommend you stop here because it is likely we will talk about everything and anything. But if you are up to date, feel free to stick around because it is likely to bring up details you may have missed or plot threads still yet to come. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, star, heart, or whatever it is on this podcast, and don't be afraid to comment your own thoughts and predictions. We would love to hear from you. But if this is where we must part, then my name is Reader, and I have been joined by Swiggity Swoo.
See you in the spoiler section.
John?
Hi. Bye. Or see you shortly. Whichever the case may be.
And Kay.
Have a good one.
And don't forget, there's always another connection. And we're back in the spoiler realm. I've changed the name for Cosmere reasons.
Spoiler realm.
Yes.
Sounds like we're on Yu-Gi-Oh. I'll take it though. I'll take it.
But
I like it.
okay, now I think we're gonna have a lot to talk about. I think now we might have a lot to talk about. So we've got Ruin's first name drop, in which I think for all the shards, I'm probably gonna name what their intent is as we go along. That's why I kind of did the definition. We've got Hemalurgy, we've got Marsh, and now we can talk about specific things we might be excited for in this book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or in John's case, specific things we're not excited for.
I do have some things that, like I am looking forward to. Obviously.
Like what? Name one, I dare you.
Yeah, name it. Come on.
Human.
Human.
I've only been
Okay.
waiting for 3
yes.
books for this. Yeah.
You've been very excited for our friendly little Colossus.
That tracks.
Yes. So humans.
I like
good.
human. I like human. I like his main zinger there is probably the most legendary comeback in any Sanderson book. And this is a series I'm talking better than anything Shalon says when he's just like, call me human.
Call me you?
That's genius.
That's smart right there. Did you know there's a whole backstory to Human? I found it on the 17th Shard. He was a rebel and he has a name.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all. I don't.
Yeah, originally Vershad, a Ska rebel living outside the borders of the Final Empire. We can talk about when
How the
Human
hell were
actually
we
shows
supposed
up.
to find any of that out?
I don't know how they have this information.
It did used to be
know.
human.
It's definitely words of Brandon.
Yeah.
It's gotta be, yeah.
But it's Brandon actually coming up with a name for it feels like, is that something Brandon would do? Come up with a whole new name for the character on a WoW?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Okay, but
Some of
you're
these WABs are more trustworthy than others. Like, I just picture
Mhm.
Brandon Sanderson at like a Denny's at like 3 a.m. Like, yeah, human had a backstory for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Does he have an Italian accent?
Sure, man. Can I get those eggs?
Hey, I'm Koloss in here.
I'm also looking forward to that bit with, Demu with a belly full of atium. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, that's a great bit.
I don't remember that. I'm excited for that now.
Oh, yes.
It's gonna be so much fun.
So good.
Oh yeah.
Kay, is there anything you're specifically excited for?
I am excited for when they get to Fadric City.
Is there a ball?
Yeah, there's
I
a
thought that's
ball.
what you were gonna say.
Oh no.
I'm because I just really love when they just like roll up and they just like walk in like just scaring everyone like we gotta go quick because we don't want the soldiers to catch up to us. They
Mhm.
walk in and then he just like hands the card to the reader and the reader is like looks at it, looks back up at Ellen, and Ellen is just like,
Go
Yep.
ahead.
I'm afraid it's
Do it.
true. Go ahead
not
and
a joke.
read it. It's not a joke.
I almost have to wonder if Vin's dress in that. If I was to do the movie, and I guess we're back to doing this. If I was to do the movie, I would have her dress be like a version of what she originally wore when she met Ellen. Don't have it just be that little, oh, it's the book we were reading. Have like little details be there. Like have her dress be the same color. Or have
Well, her dress is
I don't know.
black in it because it's the dichotomy of her. She's wearing black, which is very much not a noble woman's color because the noble women always wear like these colorful dresses. So she's wearing black, and Ellen is wearing white, which is very different from the rest of the noblemen who always
But
have
there can
these
be
dark
like
suits on. So like,
there can be accents on it, but like didn't she wear a red dress the first time? Like I'm wondering, could you
think
have like
so.
little accents in it that
Oh,
would
she did.
be like tiny little things? Like it doesn't have to be she's wearing the same exact dress, but like I like a little reference. I like those little attentions to do that to show like people really care about this. Maybe Melon's in the back corner again. Who knows?
Maybe he could use the same line. He could like go to get some wine or something. Come back like, here's the problem. Go and get
You
some
see
wine.
him come back with wine and give it to somebody. You see him come back and give it to the woman who's playing Vin's stunt double. So it's like he came back and gave Vin back her
You
wine.
idiots! You caught their stunt doubles!
That's who you have play Melon. You have, besides me, you have it be Ellen's stunt double. Boom.
Yeah. If anyone's confused, Melland, like back when we were reading The Final Empire, there was some character named Melland, and we just kind of latched onto it.
Mm-hmm.
It was at Vin's first ball. He was one of the people who asked her to dance at the first ball that she went to. And it's just funny because his name is so similar to Ellen's name.
It's an M in front of Ellen. I think we said it was. I think we all accepted as headcanon, or a good majority of us, that it was Hoid just dressed up as a nobleman.
Yeah, that's fact.
Except for the fact that Kelsier was meeting with Hoid that night. So
Well, that was the thing, is we had said, like, how does Hoid know all this so quickly? He must have been at it, he was meloned, and then came out here.
That's one of those Denny's wobs, if I ever heard one.
Okay, if I ever run into Brand, I'm like, can you give us more information on Melond? He's gonna be like, who the heck is Melond?
Right, he's not gonna have any idea what you're talking about.
Exactly. I'm gonna be the only one who cares.
So like, you mean Elland? Like, no.
No, Melond. Swiggity, is there anything you're excited for?
Oh gosh. I can't think of anything specifically, but it's the, like you said, it's the ending, it's the culmination. And now that I've gone through like the first two with a microscope, it's going to be so much more satisfying to see like, oh, okay, what threads got picked up and what got dropped, and like, what was foreshadowed and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'm excited to see Spook come into
Ooh,
his
yes.
own.
Mm.
Because Spook has been very much just like
That'll be
side,
exciting.
like you very much dismiss his character in the first 2 books, and now he really comes into his own as
Daredevil.
I was just gonna
I mean,
say
Daredevil.
this is the book where Spook becomes Daredevil.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Vin was
Beat me to it.
Batman, and now Spook is Daredevil.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
He has like his little superhero arc.
Mhm.
And I
I
guess
I don't know.
Ellen is kind of Magneto.
I was gonna make him Superman in a way,
Yeah,
even though they
but
have the same powers. But
where's the laser
Ellen's
vision?
yeah, but Ellen is like the symbol of it. He's wearing the white. He's making a image of this, and he's gathering everybody back up. And that's I know you hate Superman,
I
but I
do.
feel like
He's so
that's
dumb.
I disagree greatly.
He's so dumb.
But I feel like
also agree with John. That
Thank you,
Superman's kinda
Kay.
dumb.
Thank you.
no, I'm
Well, I
Team
think he's
Batman,
cool, so
but I still
now-
love Superman.
Now it's 2v2.
I'm Team Batman, but Superman is still like. There's a reason he's like. When you think of comic books, he's like the first one you think of.
No.
What do you go? Do you go Spider-Man or Batman?
Ninja Turtles, biatch.
That's not.
Oh jeez.
I was never
Yeah.
a comic book kid, so to me, it was about the movies, and the Marvel movies were just always better than anything DC movies.
Okay, the Marvel movies are better as movies. DC excels with comic books and TV shows. Marvel has better movies. And we're going to leave it at that because this is a Cosmere podcast.
I was gonna say we should put in the intro.
Prologue.
Like we should have a little line in the intro about how part of this is we're also just gonna talk about movies.
Like it's just
Well,
gonna happen.
We will get off track. Don't worry.
Like jokingly, yeah, we'll get off track, but also like we do spend a decent amount of time like theorizing, like how would this scene look like in a movie? You know, how would you
But
do this in a movie?
But I think when the movie comes out, hopefully, who knows now with the writers thing going on, we will be able to like look back and granted Brandon has said there's two different scripts for movies. One is a kind of book to movie adaptation, but he said he's changed it so it works in the movie format. But then he also made one where it's like it's still Mistborn, it's still got all the same characters, but like no scene is similar.
Oh jeez,
Oh,
If he is smart,
don't do
he
it.
will never ever release a movie.
I disagree. I think he can because Brandon does not want to do it for the money. He wants control over it, and
Go ahead, finish
And
your thought.
and I think somebody who loves something can really show how good it is. Versus like, granted, it could be the CGI isn't that good, or it could be maybe the actors aren't 10 out of 10 at times. But like we've seen things like that where, what is it, Hoodwinked? The CGI is very creepy there, but it's still a really enjoyable movie and beloved by a lot of people. And a lot of other movies, which are kind of bad in terms of other things, are part of what makes it really enjoyable because you see the love and attention that goes into it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna point you in the direction of Orson Scott Card and Ender's Game.
Yeah. But then again, I
Yeah.
didn't like the other ones. Okay, but okay, we don't have to.
My point isn't so much that it can't be done, because there are movie adaptations of books that did fine. But in this group, not while recording, we've already discussed movie and TV adaptations that we've both loved and hated and then disagreed on. So you're never going to make your audience happy. You're either going to be too close to the book and it's not going to feel right, or you're not going to be close enough to the book and it's not going to be the same story, and then everybody's going to be angry.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only smart thing to do is just leave it be a book. Or maybe do a graphic novel.
Or I think they should do a TV show where you can have sort of all the details. Because isn't that what they're doing with Harry Potter right now?
I don't think that we're going to agree on
True.
this right now. I don't think that we need to continue to discuss this right now because
They could
we're
do a
not going to come
movie.
to an agreement and it's not going to end. So let's move on and focus on this book
Okay.
we're talking about.
I just wanted to
In
get.
terms-
I wanted to get a stab in there. I wanted to say they could do a movie. It would be awesome. All right, we can move on.
I think the scene I'm most looking forward to in this book is the scene that kind of made me fall in love with Brandon was when Marsh pulls out the earring, and it was that moment when my mind realized the earring was out of her ear that time, and it's been a hemalurgic spike, and just my mind exploded. And then from then on, it's like detail, 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 and every single thing was like, oh my gosh, this author is amazing. And this is the book that's why I said I reread this one, because it's like this every single time I read it, I listen, wow, I did not notice that detail. Wow, I did not notice this detail. All of Sazed's religions are this. Every single thing has a reason, and it's just, holy cow. So much so that when I finished this and I went to Stormlight, chapter 1 is, you've got Kaladin's chapter, and it's got the image of the spear in the sun. I'm like, that looks like an Allomancy symbol. What does this mean? Is it connected? Ah!
It really does, though.
And I've actually seen other people like, wait a second, is that... This is the book that made me fall in love with Brandon. I think that's why I reread this one a lot. And it's those little details that really make me do it. And if
I think that's what I'm
Kay's
excited for the most. It's like the Cosmere Connections, like not between necessarily the larger, but between like the beginning of this and like then larger.
Kay can have dibs on the ball chapter. John can have dibs on the human chapters. I want dibs on the epilogue epigraph. I want that. That is the thing that makes me cry.
Okay.
That sincere letter of Sazed talking about Vin is, I think, one of the best pieces of literature I have read. And even just reading that part, I will tear up. And I am excited to have the full magnitude of this book carry that with me.
You got it.
So excited for this, guys. You have no idea.
Swiggity, that leaves you with all of the chapters that contain the line, and again the earth shook.
That's the line that you were referencing.
That's the line.
Okay,
The earth rumbled again.
that's gonna be
And
my
the earth
intro
rumbled.
every episode.
Fair
Just
enough.
for you.
Because
We've
there are
got-
a lot of earthquakes in this book.
There are a ton. Okay, we get it. Sorry. All right, I'm done.
Should we talk
I'll be
about, do
done.
we want to say anything about Ruin then? Sort of his control over the Inquisitors, or is it not really need said?
Definitely the least chill shard, besides maybe Odium.
That we know of.
No.
Autonomy.
Autonomy is
Autonomy.
definitely the least chill shard.
I-
Although we haven't met Whimsy
Very
yet.
unchill.
Whimsy, I think Whimsy is just going to be like one crazy mushroom trip away from pure chaos.
Or
Whimsy
the-
is like that annoying girl at the party, though. She's not like, take over your world.
Yeah, I
I
guess.
mean, I
yeah.
guess we don't know. I guess we don't know.
We don't know the 16th one. Maybe that one's just like a party. Whimsy's more like the kind that says jokes, and party is just like the one to throw a celebration. It's
What
like,
if
you
the
did it!
What if the 16th one is like something really like gluttony or
Murder.
I was thinking that too. I didn't want to like offend anybody, but I was like, what if it's like Republican?
Oh.
Something stupid.
Oh.
was gonna get
Conservation?
political, but yeah, sure.
Conservation?
That's too close to preservation, I think.
True.
Yeah, it's too similar to preservation.
But I mean, on a real more like serious note, you can see from Marsh's perspective, like what it would be like to have Ruin buzzing in your ear at all times. Like, what was it like for AT all that time
Oh,
with like
jeez. I never
Ruin's
even thought
influence?
of that. I never even
Was it
thought,
similar?
oh, I think so. I think that's the only way
Sorry.
that would have worked. Bless you. Is that slowly AT realized, hey, the smell of blood kind of smells nicer. The screams of children, oh, that's kind of, there's a nice beat to that. And like slowly that happened.
It's
I
kind of
like that.
pleasant.
Without him even realizing it necessarily.
I love that. That's a nice detail. Swiggity with the details
And
once again.
like with Odium, Ruin also has the attitude of, I am not just destroying things, I am destroying things so that then we can create anew again.
But to destroy.
Yes.
So I wonder, for Ruin, does Ruin ultimately want an end? What happens when he ruins the last thing? When he destroys the last thing? Is the last thing himself? Because Odium wants to be worshipped by everybody. He wants to be the only god. But Ruin wants to destroy anything. Everything.
The
So I
call of the
wonder,
void.
would Ruin's end plan be to wipe out the Cosmere and then destroy the one thing that remains, himself? In which now we know that self-splintering is possible. Would that be Ruin's last act?
If there's nothing left to break down, I guess maybe.
We don't know by the end of this book, like,
But
why does Ruin want their body? Sorry. Okay, you go ahead.
I would say I could also see Ruin choosing to create so that he can destroy, because, for example, with the world, he and Preservation created the world together, and Ruin created it with Preservation with the intent to destroy it.
Right, but neither Preservation nor Ruin could build the world by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you think that... Sorry.
I'm saying that he could... Maybe he will choose, like... Maybe he's not going to actually, like, physically destroy the entire world. Instead, he's just wiping every living thing off the planet. And then having it... things... regrow.
So you're thinking that...
Recreate.
They make it pretty clear throughout this book that the intention is to destroy the planet.
But I think, and apologies if I'm, I don't know, mansplaining. Do you think, Kay, is what you're saying, like, Ruin wants to create, like, a circle of it where he's always got a state of things he can destroy?
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm...
But that also feels like a state of preservation, almost, where it's the same cycle. Like, I don't know much about the Wheel of Time, but I feel like that kind of follows it, where the thing starts, but it ends, and I feel like that's sort of...
No, they say very clearly at the beginning of the book, there are no beginnings to the wheel. But this was a beginning, which always irritated the piss out of me, because if there are no beginnings, this can't be a beginning, because there are no beginnings. Okay, sorry.
There are no beginnings nor endings to the turning of the Wheel of Time.
Right, yes, that. And then they go, but this was a beginning.
So
Sweetie,
every
what were you
moment is a
saying?
new beginning. I was gonna say, why does Ruin, like at the beginning of this, right? It's talking about how he needs one more thing, and I presume that's the ATM, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Why? Does anyone know why?
Because it's a good chunk of his power, and he needs that to destroy the planet, basically. Right now, all he's doing is accelerating the ash mounds and the mist. But if he has the full power of his shardhood, he can basically just like, okay, karate chop the planet. Let's move on to the next one.
So
That's
when
ridiculous.
Preservation locked Ruin away, he took Preservation's power and put it
Ruin's
into
power.
Ruin's power. Took part of Ruin's power, his body, and put it into the investiture, the ATM, and the Lord Ruler hid it away, with the intent that when Ruin did eventually get released, because the Lord Ruler, he was planning on this happening, that Ruin wouldn't be able to find his power, and because of that, he wouldn't be able to destroy the planet immediately. So, because right now he is close, he's a little bit stronger than Preservation is, but not enough stronger that he could just destroy the world. If he had his power from the ATM, he would be enough stronger that he could just wipe the world out.
Sort of
Yeah,
like
I
how
get that.
if you were to imprison somebody, you also lock away like a gun, their gun. And how ATM can basically stab people and it'll hurt them, but it wouldn't. But him finding the gun would probably be the best solution to cause the most damage. But he's got
Plus,
to find that thing.
he's got to overcome Preservation's influence, though.
Mm.
Like that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, Preservation. Oh, that's another scene I'm really. I love the scene where Vin is going up to Hoid and she stops. That's one of my favorite scenes.
Because
This guy's creepy.
in the background.
Well,
like
I know that Kelsier is also whispering in her ear, but the idea that Vin being the only one we have ever really seen to look at Hoid and to be like, no, something's wrong with this guy.
Except for everybody in the Stormlight Archive. Except for
they don't run away from him. They don't reject him.
They just think he's weird.
They do just think he's weird.
They do. I know.
But like
that was one of my favorite
but
things.
They're not wrong.
Like Vin was sent to find him, and she's standing there, and she sees him, and I can almost imagine like the weird little loud whistling sound you hear a lot when somebody gets hit by a stun grenade. Like she just stares at him, you hear that, and like she tilts her head, and then just turns around and leaves. And I feel like that is such a small scene, and to probably anybody else, it means very little. But that is one of my favorite Vin scenes of all time.
That's cool. It's unique. I always think of like Kelsier whispering in her ear. That was like one of the first things I noticed reading Secret History. Like, oh, this is doing that.
Which is one of the things that takes away from that for me. Is like people can just say, "Oh, it's just Kelsier telling her," and I'm like,
yeah,
no. I will agree, Kelsier is helping, but like the rioter or the soother cannot just force somebody to do something. They can only give you a slight nudge, and that is the equivalent of what Kelsier is doing.
Yeah, I do think it was funny, like, because my boyfriend recently read through all of the Cosmere books, and when he was reading Hero of Ages, when he got to that scene, he was like, what is going on here? He was like, there's gotta be someone or something, like, that's, like, telling her to turn around. Like, and then when he got to Secret History, he was like, I knew it! I knew that there was someone telling her to move. That seemed too weird.
Which, I do like that, but I also like Vin's paranoia is one of her key characteristics, and how she's always making preparations for the worst individual. Like, you know, the whole Batman thing we've always compared her to. And just like the fact, like, all of her senses are like, no, this guy is not somebody we can trust in this eventuality.
I wonder what the Ghost Bloods think of Hoid. Probably not
he's an
too
enemy.
high.
He's an enemy, 100%. Kelsier.
We haven't got to see too much of that. I can't wait. Because you know, like Era 3.
Definitely.
Oh yeah. like he's gonna pop up in Era 3, and that's gonna be like all about Ghost Bloods. So I can't wait to see that face off.
Well, didn't Moonlight see him or said, "Wait, you saw him? I need to go track him down." In the Lost Metal.
Ooh,
I don't remember.
I don't remember, but I bet that's why Demu and them were looking for him. Well, no, there was
They're
somebody
not,
else.
No, they're
Demu is a
with
part of the
17th
17th shard.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, had a moment.
Which is really weird, considering Demu's survivorism. So there's a
It's
question of,
weird.
does he know that the Ghost Bloods exist?
Does he know that Kelsier is the leader of the Ghost Bloods? That's a better question.
True. That's also true.
That would be an awesome thing to pick up in like Stormlight 5.
I would love
It's like,
to
by
see
the
that.
way, just pick up on that thread. Ah, that'd be so good.
Yes. I don't want to get too into hemalurgy because I do want to save that for another episode. But is there anything else we really want to talk about based on the prologue? And I know, yes, I'm sorry, the prologue was 3 pages. But we needed to get back into the groove of it. We needed to get all of the jokes out of our system, and we needed to get back to realizing, okay, here's where we are.
Yeah, I'm glad we came back together and we talked about it a little bit. I'm excited to get back into the main chapters and stuff.
I'm so excited to do all these parts, and I'm excited to see John's thoughts on certain things. And I'm excited for Kay to bring little details I probably haven't noticed.
One thing I'll say is it's so funny, like, this is spoiler section here, so, but in, like, Tress, when you hear of, like, death with the spike eyes, it's almost cute, it's cool, it makes you happy, but, like, reading this intro, you forget, like, oh yeah, Marsh was a monster for a little while.
Yeah.
Like a straight up monster. So that's so cool to see his transformation and legend.
I definitely love Old Man Marsh, though. Like, that was amazing. He's just like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I empathized with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the Lost Metal, like, oh my god, that was so good.
Can I just sit down for a while? Sazed's got me running around errands left and right. Oh. But that's one of the things I really hope they change, is the fact that they're still called Steel Inquisitors in like Era 2. I'm hoping for like a name change for them, or a new classification for spiked people.
For spiked individuals, oh my god, I love that.
I want a new class, because they're not Inquisitors anymore. That was more of their job.
Yeah, get rid of the stigma, right?
Well, there's also a difference between an Inquisitor and someone who has hemalurgic spikes.
But I want a term for somebody who has hemalurgic spikes, is what I'm saying. Because we saw Wax's dad had them, and he's like, I am... His uncle. You're right. And he's like, I am like one of the Steel Inquisitors, and I am limited by how many hemalurgic spikes. And I'm like, can we have a term for what you are right now that can differentiate classical stuff from the from Arrow 1 stuff from all the new stuff? Yeah. It's just Contra. Okay, that's a race. Kolos, that's a race. Steel Inquisitor, that's more of a job. That seems to be more of... Like, Inquisitor is somebody who hunts down things and goes on fights. That doesn't feel like the Inquisitors anymore. And we saw, like, them do the little needle with a spike and, like, hey, we can pull out 1/16 of a soul and not kill a person. Wow. Like, I want a new term for people who have spikes in them. Well, what if you could have, like, a bracelet that has, like, all the spikes in it, and like depending on the time you can press a button, like Ben 10, I don't know, and it spikes into you, gives you that ability, and then like you can press a button and it pulls out and you no longer have the ability.
But can't you like
that's
not
a lot of dead people.
Yeah,
also,
I know.
Like, can't you not take the hemalurgic spikes out of you generally without dying?
They also
Well,
have to be inserted into a specific bind point.
Yeah, I know. Come on, let me enjoy my little imagination. I come here and talk about my podcast and talk about how much I need to stick by the rules, and you guys are like, have freedom, do it with your imagination. And then I'm like, here's my imagination. You go like, no, 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 no.
There are rules, reader.
Sure, they're wearing mech suits, and they can press buttons, and it spikes into their body at the special points, and they can take off the suits, sort of like Edge of Tomorrow. I don't know.
Yeah, okay, I buy that one.
Okay. Where they put on suits and it gives them their powers. Jeez.
I don't know. I thought of one, but it's kind of weird to say out loud. But it's like if, because you're trying to think of a term. I don't know. I guess you could call them penetrated. Doesn't quite sound right to say out loud, but
Oh no.
It does not.
How about
but it
spikers?
gets like that's more Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah. But that's one of the things that irks me about Era 2 is that we don't have a new term for Inquisitors. Granted, we don't really have any
penetrated.
more.
I can store my weight.
Look at how much health I can store when I'm penetrated.
I think it's cool though that like that's kind of maybe going to be a casual thing that people are like spiking without having people need to die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. But let's focus back on this book.
Well, it's a stark contrast from what we see in this prologue. Like,
yeah, little detailed spikes. This one,
yeah,
straight
like,
through
it's
your
pretty
heart.
bloody, pretty brutal.
Which he's using a brass. That's the one thing I wanted to bring up. He's using a brass spike, which is tied to ferrochemical connection abilities.
Is that warmth?
I'm gonna get into the nuts and bolts
heat.
of hemalurgy.
It's brass in
Steals cognitive ferrochemical powers.
Yeah, so brass in ferrochemy, yes, does store warmth. Yeah.
But in hemalurgy, it works differently.
It steals ferrochemical mental attributes. So it could steal things like mental speed, memories,
What?
things like that, like the things that have to do with your mind. Wakefulness.
That's really cool. That's like a layer of detail that only Sanderson would give you. You in any other media, you'd be like, oh yeah, you can use any spike to get any power or something like.
Mm-hmm.
Or it would match up perfectly with the ferrochemy, like.
Which would be mental speed, warmth, wakefulness, or memories. And I'm guessing they're not wearing metal minds all that much.
Well, I think the ferrochemist of the age always have all the powers.
Correct.
Yeah.
But
So it would be kind of a waste to steal, like...
Each spike can only steal one power.
Right. But each metal of spike can steal a whole category. So you might have to, like, get 2 or 3 of them before you get the one you want, kind of thing.
Well, I think it has to do with also your intent when you are taking the spike and stabbing it through someone's heart.
So, I know there are...
What power you are trying to steal and where you're putting the intent of where to put the spike into the person to grant that specific power.
Right. I know there are bind points on the recipient. I wonder if there are a similar collection of points on the donor?
I actually think there's a wob about this. There's not in the donor, but it's just that in the old days, they just like spiking straight through and through. through the bind points from person A to person below.
Right.
So if you
Guys.
wanted a spike through your eye, the spike's coming out of that guy's skull. If you want it in the heart, heart to heart.
We said we weren't going to do this.
I know. I said that too. And yet here we are.
Yeah.
Okay, let's pause the metallurgy conversation for now, and we will talk more about it at the end of part 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
But is there anything else we really want to talk about right now? We've talked about things we're excited for. We've got Ruin on the horizon. We've kind of brought it back attention to how Marsh was under his control. We've got a whole new idea of what A2 was like when he was being controlled by the Shard. Anything else?
I think we've pretty much done it.
Yeah, I'm just generally excited. Like, I don't have anything specific, but I can't wait to get into the book.
Me neither. Oh, I'm so glad to finally be at this one. I owe this one thanks to getting me into all of this.
Okay.
Yeah, I can tell. I can tell, like, you have a special place in your heart for, like, Mistborn Era 1, like, original trilogy.
Definitely. And, like, especially this one.
And I can see why, too, because, like, not to get too far ahead, but, like, chapter 1 is, like, Ellen being a badass. It's like,
Yeah.
all right. I can see why readers, like, really into this book.
I can't wait. I'm going to have to fight Kay on some of those ball chapters.
Some of it.
Put them up.
Some of them.
There's
I'll
more
let her
than
have
one?
some. There's like
There-
3,
Okay.
I want to say.
Yeah, there are a couple.
So Kay's going to have to decide which one she wants. Does she want the one where they arrive, or does she want the ones where Ellen pulls out a book? I guess we'll have to read and find out.
Whoa.
Well, I think that's just about... That's all, folks. I think that's just about covering it for this episode. Thank you so much for joining us in our ramblings and predictions. We cannot wait to cover what is next. This has been Cosmere Connections, and we hope to see you next time.
Good night.
If Zane was a Looney Tune, I think he'd be Daffy Duck.